He was a ghost, a phantom who slipped through open windows in the dead of night, leaving a trail of terror across California. They called him the Night Stalker, and for over a year, his name was a whisper of fear in the sweltering summer of Los Angeles. This is the chilling story of Richard Ramirez and the reign of terror that gripped a city. Our story begins in the summer of 1984. It was a time of big hair, neon colors, and vibrant music. But beneath the sunny facade of Southern California, a shadow was growing. The attacks started sporadically, seemingly random acts of violence that police struggled to connect. An elderly woman attacked in her home. A couple assaulted. The methods were brutal, the motives unclear. The only common thread was the sheer randomness and the terrifying sense of violation. The attacker was a whisper in the dark, leaving behind little evidence, but immense fear. As the months ticked by into 1985, the attacks escalated, growing more frequent and more violent. The phantom who stalked the night was becoming bolder. He no longer limited himself to one neighborhood or one type of victim. He crossed city lines, from the San Gabriel Valley to the suburbs of Orange County. His victims were men, women, and children, ranging in age from 6 to 82. The city that was once known for its glamour and sunshine was now paralyzed by fear. People stopped sleeping with their windows open, despite the suffocating summer heat. Sales of guns, locks, and security systems skyrocketed. Everyone was looking over their shoulder, suspecting every shadow. The media dubbed the unknown assailant the Valley Intruder, and later the Night Stalker. His name was on every news channel, his spectre haunting every home. The police were under immense pressure, working around the clock to connect the dots. The crimes were so varied and widespread that linking them was a monumental task. The attacker used different weapons, left different clues, and seemed to have no discernible pattern. But slowly, a profile began to emerge. He was believed to be a tall, lanky man with bad teeth and a gaunt appearance, and he often left behind satanic symbols, adding a layer of dark ritualism to his already horrifying crimes. One of the most distinguishing features Ramirez left at some scenes was an inverted pentagram, a symbol often associated with Satanism. He would scrawl it on the walls or even on his victims' bodies. He would demand they swear allegiance to Satan. This element added a terrifying, almost supernatural dimension to the case. It wasn't just about violence anymore. It was about a perceived battle between good and evil playing out in the bedrooms of ordinary people. The press latched onto this, and the public's fear morphed into something more primal. The turning point came in August 1985. After an attack in Mission Viejo, the victim's boyfriend managed to get a partial license plate of the suspect's car, an orange Toyota station wagon. A kid in the neighborhood, a 13-year-old boy named James Romero III, had his wits about him. He had seen the strange car cruising the neighborhood earlier and, thinking it was suspicious, wrote down the full plate number. He heard about the attack the next morning and gave the number to the police. This was the break they had been desperately waiting for. The police traced the car. It had been stolen. They found it abandoned in a parking lot in the Rampart district of Los Angeles. Forensics went to work, and inside the car, they found a crucial piece of evidence, a single fingerprint. The print was run through the newly established automated fingerprint identification system, a cutting-edge technology at the time, and they got a match. The fingerprint belonged to a 25-year-old drifter from El Paso, Texas, named Ricardo Leyva Munoz Ramirez. He had a petty criminal record, but nothing that would suggest the monster he had become. For the first time, the Night Stalker had a name and a face. On the morning of August 30th, 1985, Richard Ramirez's mugshot was plastered on the front page of every newspaper and broadcast on every television channel. The headline was simple and direct: Night Stalker identified. The ghost was now a man, and the entire state was on the lookout for him. Unaware that his identity had been revealed, Ramirez was on a bus heading back to Los Angeles from Arizona. When he arrived, he walked into a liquor store to buy a drink and a snack. There, he saw his own face staring back at him from a newspaper rack. In that moment, he knew he was a wanted man. He panicked and ran. What followed was one of the most incredible citizens' arrests in modern history. Ramirez, trying to escape, attempted to carjack a vehicle, then another. He ran through the streets of an East Los Angeles neighborhood, a place he thought he could blend in. But he was wrong. The residents recognized him instantly. "El Matador!" they shouted. "The killer!" A crowd of ordinary citizens, armed with nothing but their courage and a desire to protect their community, chased him down. They cornered him, subdued him, and held him until the police arrived. A man who had held a city hostage with fear was ultimately brought down by the very people he had terrorized. The chase was over. The Night Stalker had been caught, not by a high-tech police operation, but by a neighborhood that refused to be afraid any longer. The trial of Richard Ramirez was a media circus. He reveled in the attention, flashing pentagrams drawn on his palm to the cameras and snarling at the jury. He showed no remorse, embracing his dark persona. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Fingerprints, ballistics, stolen property, and the powerful, harrowing testimony of his surviving victims. In 1989, after a long and complex trial, Richard Ramirez was found guilty of 13 counts of murder, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 burglaries. He was sentenced to death. Upon hearing his sentence, Ramirez infamously said, "Big deal. Death always went with the territory. See you in Disneyland." He spent over 2 decades on death row at San Quentin State Prison, becoming a strange sort of macabre celebrity, receiving letters from admirers and even getting married in prison. He never took responsibility for his crimes and never showed a shred of remorse for the lives he destroyed. On June 7, 2013, Richard Ramirez died from complications of B-cell lymphoma. He wasn't executed. He died of natural causes, cheating the gas chamber. But for the survivors and the families of his victims, his death brought a sense of closure to a dark chapter that had haunted them for decades. The story of the Night Stalker is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of society. But it's also a story of resilience, of a city that came together in the face of fear and of ordinary people who became heroes. It showed that even in the darkest of nights, the collective power of a community can shine a light and bring a monster to justice. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating cases. Stay safe out there.